Rules, rules, and more rules. It seems like wherever you go as a beginner tarot reader, you're always running into rules. Don't do this, don't do that. Make sure you're doing this in this one specific way all the time, or else you're doing it wrong. Look, I don't want to be one of those types of tarot readers on YouTube. In fact, there are some things that I do with my own techniques that bend and break the rules that were set up by somebody else and were expected to be followed. But that's just technique, one of the few things that I'll be covering in this video. Today I will be talking about my top 5 tarot do's and don'ts. Note how I said that these are my top 5 do's and don'ts. By all means, if one of these does not apply to you whatsoever, that's fine. And if you're looking to learn from me, take notes and see if these tips work for you. These do's and don'ts aren't rules per se, but they are pieces of advice that I do like to give to other beginner tarot readers that are seeking advice from me. So without further ado, let's begin. Do read tarot and enjoy it. Reading tarot can be an extremely fun and exciting hobby to get into. Don't feel like tarot is something you should be ashamed of getting into or be scared of. It's just a hobby. Just because tarot cards are of Wiccan descent, that doesn't mean you're going to be going to hell for using them if you're a Christian. Just try to remember that tarot reading and tarot cards does have its origin set in paganism, and don't try to trick or delusion yourself into believing otherwise. Do practice by reading for yourself. There is absolutely nothing wrong with learning that way. Record the messages that you are given by the cards in a tarot journal, and over time, try to see how accurate your reading was. Don't ask yourself the same question over and over and over again, especially multiple times a day. If the response to your question is something you don't like, don't think, oh, I must have just shuffled them wrong. Just as it is with a multiple choice question, your first answer or your first response that you're given from the cards is normally your most accurate. And if you feel like your cards are calling you out on something that you've either been putting off or you've been refusing to acknowledge, just note that's what tarot cards do. They call you out. Do learn the meanings of the major arcana, the suits, and the court cards. The court cards consist of the pages, the knights, the queens, and the kings. The suits are the cups, the swords, the wands, and the pentacles, or coins, depending on what kind of tarot deck you have. And it seems like the majors are the stars of the show, as they're the cards everybody wants to see. Choosing these 3 groups to focus on and memorize will be a lot less overwhelming than trying to memorize all 78 tarot cards. And on that note, don't feel pressured to memorize the meanings of the cards all at once. I will be covering all 78 tarot cards individually on this channel at some point for those who would like to learn that way. But don't feel like you have to memorize all 78 tarot cards tomorrow. Do develop your own techniques for shuffling and drawing cards. The way that I shuffle my deck and draw my cards for my readings isn't the same as many other tarot readers' method of shuffling and drawing their cards. To some extent, every tarot reader's technique for shuffling and drawing cards and conducting their readings is going to be different from each other, and that's fine because that's what makes us unique. You don't have to strive to be a clone of somebody else if you prefer to do things your own way. And absolutely, do not let anybody else tell you that your technique is wrong. How I will read your cards is different from many of the other users I've seen. Almost everybody has a different way of shuffling, drawing, laying out spreads, and interpreting the cards. Literally, browse YouTube and count how many different ways tarot readers are reading their cards. You will find a lot. Your technique isn't wrong. It's signature to you and makes you a unique part of the tarot community. And finally, do readings for other people. That is by far what makes tarot so much fun. Doing readings for other people and seeing their reactions. I cannot tell you guys how many times I have heard people ask me how I can get so much information from just 3 little cards. I've done readings for people online through chat, people that I've never met in person, and people that I've only known for like 30 minutes. And they've been wowed. And I've wowed myself quite a few times. But don't force anybody into getting a reading. The first time that I did a tarot reading for someone, I pretty much begged them to get a reading. And I just wound up feeling really bad and awkward about it ever since. That is all for my tarot do's and don'ts, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. And now for a bonus segment that comes from one of your hard-pressed questions from the comment section. One of you asked me about the different ways that the word tarot can be pronounced. Depending on where you live, your pronunciation can differ from mine. In America, where I live, the pronunciation is tarot. In Britain, the pronunciation is kind of the same, only with the accent thrown in. So it's tarot. And I probably butchered that. I probably butchered that so bad. I'm sorry, British people. I don't know what I'm doing. And in some other countries, they pronounce it like this person does, rhyming it with carrot and pronouncing it tarot. I myself am half German, and on the occasion I find myself slipping a half-hearted tarot here and there. So many ways to pronounce one freaking word. That's all for this video, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching again. If you liked this video from me and you'd like to see more, please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for my next video where I will be talking about my top 5 rules for tarot reading. See you next time.